Welcome back. This is Reality Check. I'm Monica Zukas. I have Dr. Jerry Feltz and Dr. Dennis McGuire here with me tonight. We're talking about the new year. Everybody's making resolutions to get healthy, and everybody's like popping in the gym, but we're talking about health and wellness in general. And we're talking about right now, we're talking about real life. I want to talk about aspartame real quick, but then I want to talk about like the difference from the early 1980s when I was a little kid to right now whenever my son's a little kid, and there are so many differences. But aspartame, what is aspartame and why is it so dangerous? Listen, I Googled aspartame earlier just because there's some scary facts about aspartame. Aspartame toxicity, aspartame, the molecular structure of what it is, who formulated it, and what is it supposed to do?
Well, what's aspartame? You can go way back, and I'm trying to think of the Republican, he was an attorney, and he was the one who kind of pushed it through. I'll think of his name in just a minute. Wasn't Poindexter, but was it? Anyway, aspartame. It's a form of the fructose too.
But I mean, isn't it seriously a couple molecules away from plastic
yeah,
or from aldehyde or something?
I tell people just go ahead because it's 2 molecules away from plastic.
And one of the main things aspartame is in is a lot of the diet sodas. I drink diet soda. I have it to where I drink like one a day because I can't only drink water. My father's a chiropractor. He has preached drink water our whole life, but I cannot only drink water. I'm a human being. My God, I got to have some taste. But aspartame does, like, it makes me dizzy. It makes me feel weird. And when I used to drink like 4 or 5 Diet Mountain Dews a day, I'd go, and like I couldn't remember anything.
Well, see, that's what's so serious about the fructose.
So it's not really funny. It can really jack you up.
Fructose cannot be metabolized by the liver or the brain. And what happens now, the second leading cause of liver transplants, now listen to me carefully, non-alcoholic cirrhosis of the liver.
Non-alcoholic, so we're not drinking, but we still have cirrhosis?
Due to the fructose. And we talk about the fructose in the juices and the sodas. So we're seeing now these people coming in, and with the ES Tech scan that I use, and we can go inside and look at the brain, and we look at the electrical conductivity, and we're looking at the oxygen levels in there. And you see these kids, early indications of lack of oxygen in the brain, and I'm seeing earlier indications of starting to see dementia and Alzheimer's because that fructose, the body can't metabolize it. And so since these kids are little bitty, they're having sweets. And so Dr. Solomon, who's one of the top liver transplant doctors in St. Louis, was talking about now that used to be number 1, cirrhosis of the liver from drinking, it's number 1 transplant. Number 2 is Tylenol. Because the excess on that.
Can get you.
Now non-cirrhosis alcohol, of the liver now, so that's number 2 now, and we continue to consume fructose, and it's in everything.
It is. Now, and when you go to Grandma's house, by trade, when we were little, we go to Grandma's, what does she give us? Brownies, cookies, cakes, anything sweet. But we're finding out now sugar is not the way to go.
Glucose will not, except the latest research, I saw this last night, it'll blow your mind, is now we're seeing now that glucose can be converted to fructose. It's called turn on the fat switch off and on. So people with glucose, this is why people that are overweight have a hard time losing weight. Some people literally have to get off all carbs for about 4 to 6 weeks to reset because it's leptin resistant.
It gets confusing because they talk about GMOs, they talk about aspartame, they talk about organic foods, there's poison in our foods, there's pesticides in our foods. It's like, what the heck can we eat or breathe? This causes cancer, this is a carcinogen. It's very confusing and upsetting to think that, like, is anything pure anymore? Should we all have a garden and chickens?
Here's a simplistic thing. Listen to me carefully. This is a simplistic thing. What I'm going to give you the juices and things of this nature. Listen, bread, pasta, sweets, rice, potatoes, corn.
Do you agree?
Sodas, diet sodas, juices.
Yeah, it's weird.
These are the foods and the liquids that's causing all the health issues.
So are you saying never consume any of those things?
Well, I'm saying keep in moderation, but the most important thing is every meal you want some type of meat, fish, poultry, eggs, cheese, all the vegetables you can
Okay,
consume.
listen. So not too long ago on Good Morning America, because listen, the majority of the people in the United States look at that TV in the morning before work, they look at it after work, and they look at it at 10 o'clock, and they think it is the gold, wonderful truth of the universe. And sometimes, not too long ago, they said, eggs are bad. No, they're not.
They never have been.
Isn't that wrong?
Listen, we'll get it right here real quickly.
Why do you believe eggs aren't?
Statin drugs, listen to me carefully, the statin drugs will never reduce the chances of a heart attack or stroke. What statin drugs will do, destroy the CoQ10 in the body. They'll destroy the myelin sheath around all the nervous system.
MS.
They will cause cardiac failure. But now, spacedoc.net, this is Dr. Granville, who was a NASA flight surgeon. 17 years ago, they put him on the statin drugs. He nearly lost his mind. They've started a class action suit. There is doctors, cardiologists, and surgeons, 500 patients all over the country that's been on statin drugs for 5 to 8 years. Listen to me carefully. Every one of them had the same symptoms of Lou Gehrig's disease because they know that the statin drugs cause muscle pain, joint pain, muscle weakness.
Now,
it destroys the myelin sheath.
What's a statin drug? Because I've never been on one.
You mean as far as
what is it? Why would I need a statin drug?
Okay,
blood
they
pressure.
think you're
blood pressure. Okay.
They talk about high cholesterol.
How about
That's why
cholesterol
you have
isn't
the
the
pain.
issue. Yeah.
That's why you have to supplement CoQ10 if you're on it, because that's
so
why
it's
everybody
like,
gets
why don't
hip
you
pain.
eat right and jog?
That's harder to do than take a pill.
Yeah.
And that's the issues you run
Denny,
into.
what's your opinion on why you think mainstream media and the common knowledge of the people of the United States is like, isn't it? I guess because my dad is in the profession he's in, it would be obvious to me, look, you've got high blood pressure. To me, my first thing would be like, I need to watch what I'm eating. I need to jog a little more or walk a little more or swim a little more or eat a little less. Why is that not what Americans think first? They think pill, pill, pill.
I think
Do you
more and
think
more
it's-
people are getting into the exercise realm, and I think more people are watching what they're eating. There's a lot more people trying to juice and eat more organic foods.
So do you
it's
think
really
there's a
hard.
paradigm shift in general? Like people are
Right.
starting to be like
But we have
proactive?
masses. And the problem with the foods is we have all these preservatives and everything else in it that's bad for us, but we have masses. I mean, we have a lot more people now, and so it's harder to feed the masses
Right.
in a quality. And if you want to eat proper, if you want to juice or you want to eat organic foods, you might as well double or triple your food bill. Well, milk is going up to $8 a gallon now. So, I mean,
Right.
we're in an age right now where it's really difficult for the average individual to eat right and exercise. And it's hard to exercise because everybody's working now, and everybody has their child in 3 or 4 events, and so therefore...
And more children than one.
Right, so it's a lot easier to drive through McDonald's drive-through than it is to sit at home and eat right. And so we just need to slow down and decide what kind of quality of life we want, and decide how do we achieve that point. What do we have to do to make our life healthy?
And it's hard to train our children that way because whenever I was little, I remember like riding my bike to Cheney's and be like, I need some suckers, I need some candy, I need some Sixlets, I need some chocolate. And I was of the impression for a long time, like, as long as you're little and young, you can eat whatever you want, but then you're going to get serious when you're older. And I thought, now that I'm a mother, and I'm like, we need to train our children to eat right from the beginning.
We'll take it a step further than that. These kids I'm talking about, the 6-month-old children that are obese, it's because they're already pre-diabetic because these mothers aren't educated to understand before they get pregnant. They're having all the fructose and all the juices and all the junk, and these children are already pre-diabetic because going back to the high blood pressure, this is simplistic. The number one cause of hypertension, high blood pressure, is the fructose. What it does, it goes in, and the fructose destroys the nitric oxide, which is a vasodilator. It's an amino acid, arginine. It keeps the blood vessels expanded. When you consume all this fructose, it destroys the nitric oxide, so the arteries become constricted. The byproduct is uric acid, and uric acid plays a tremendous role. We're seeing higher elevations of uric acid.
Is it when you have a lot of uric acid, it's the gout?
Well, that's part of it.
Is that what it is?
I
got the gout.
You can
I remember
see that.
great-grandpa going, I got the gout
You
in
can
my
see
elbow.
that, but that's a byproduct now from the fructose. I mean, it's just nasty.
It's an inflammatory.
Okay.
And that's one of the biggest problems with it. And the other thing with these artificial sugars is that when it's digested, you will stimulate from the pancreas insulin.
And you don't want to mess with your pancreas.
Well, that's why that's another thing leading to diabetes is that the insulin's being stimulated by the pancreas with nothing to bind to, so we have all this free-floating insulin in the body whenever you're taking the artificial sugars. So therefore, that causes another health issue. Sugar's been if you Google sugar and what it does to your body and what fructose does to your body, you'll see that it leads to most of the common diseases that we're all dying
and one
from.
thing Dad always says, and he always feels bad about it, which I never do, 90% of our health issues by every American or everybody in the universe is self-induced.
It is. And
We're
they
doing it to
don't
ourselves.
like to hear it. The bottom line is self-induced because from the time we're little, I mean, the majority of the parents are making their kids sugar addicts. And I told a lady yesterday, you got 9 and 11-year-old children. They can't go to the store and you're getting all this.
So you're going and picking out the products and you bring them
The
home.
children are becoming drug addicts. Listen, the strongest drug you can ever put in your body isn't heroin, cocaine, and meth. It's
I
food
believe that
because
now.
The way that it affects you, and we're worrying about the Republicans, Democrats on health issues.
And the fiscal
When you
cliff.
educate these people and reduce and prevent type 2 diabetes by changing their eating habits, we'll save billions and billions of dollars.
But then
in
again,
healthcare.
that's where it gets sketchy because a lot of people don't want to say it out loud, but the health industry likes that we're sick because we're giving them billions of dollars every year when we're paying for our meds, when we're paying for our surgeries. And it's like a lot of times they fight the chiropractors. Well, wait a minute. That's not necessary. We're not going to pay for that. And I'm like, it's keeping people healthy. Why don't they want to? Oh, wait a minute. Because it's cheaper to pay you guys and they're not making as much money as they are off all the people that are sick getting surgeries.
I think more medical doctors are getting into healthcare. I think that it's not sickness care with a lot of the doctors now. I think it's more healthcare. I think
Which is a great
I think the pharmaceutical
shift, right?
companies have more of an influence on that information. I think a lot of the medical doctors I work with are very
good.
health conscious.
Good.
They work out in the gym with me. They're educating people on diet and exercise and the importance. And I think you probably find the same thing. So I don't necessarily think it's the
MDs?
medical doctors. I think it's more of the pharmaceutical
Big
companies.
pharma.
They want to keep the old food chain, on the pyramid. They want to keep
And
that.
doesn't all boil down to the almighty dollar? I mean, they want their money, right?
They think it's normal for people from the time you're born, from the time you're born to your grave, people that just assume that it's normal to be taking all these prescription medication, over-the-counter medication, and they buy into it. And so these people are they get to a point where they're sick and tired of being sick and tired. But they buy into it. So when you show people how in 4 to 6 weeks,
And
by
people
making
get
some
dependent on their
lifestyle
meds. Like, people freak about their
I
meds.
saw Sanjay Gupta Sunday said that 80%, this will blow your mind, 80% of the pain medication is in the United States. And now we're seeing a backfiring of the pain medication causing more pain, and we're getting more a rebound effect. And these people are on all this pain medication. And the problem, and Dr. McGuire will agree, you go to this doctor, so they go to this doctor, so they got medication here, medication there, medication there. And this doctor's not knowing what this doctor's doing, so they get it cranking and get it going.
Hey, what about self-medication? Ibuprofen, Advil, that medication.
Over-the-counter can get you even.
Well, 33% of all kidney dialysis is from ibuprofen abuse. There's 116,000 GI bleeds a year from ibuprofen. So people think that they take that. We talked about Tylenol earlier, liver killer. So just pick your poison. You got type 1, type 2, and type 3 COX inhibitors, and all three of them are going to affect you differently.
And people think, oh, well, it's common. Everybody else does it, so it's okay. It's really not. We're talking about health and wellness. It's the beginning of the new year. We've got a lot of great information here. Please stay with us. I'm Monica Zukas. This is Reality Check. We'll be right back.